As a flashlight enthusiast, I have literally hundreds of flashlights to choose from when I'm doing something. So I'm always picking the right flashlight for the job. But sometimes there is no absolute right flashlight. Let me give you an example. I'm walking at night, so I've got my Josh Dawson Malahini. Perfect walking light, great tint, great color, high CRI, fills up the path in front of me. But this doesn't throw like a thrower would. So that's where I might throw in my pocket the Weltool T1 Pro. This guy is low CRI and very high intensity, and it's got a tactical style user interface just on. Together, these are the perfect walking combo. I really haven't found a light that's better than this, except I did. If you're willing to put a little bit bigger of a light in your pocket, a little bit heavier with a little bit bigger head, there's a light that destroys this light, and I'm gonna bring it to you right now. The Manker MC13 Part 2 SBT90.2. This light is insane. So welcome back to Shul Lights. We're gonna be talking about the Manker MC13 2 today, the second version, and it's also the SBT90.2 version, meaning that that's the emitter that's in it. There's also some SFT40 versions. If you want insanity, get the SBT90.2 version. Let's jump right into it. I have so many good things to say about this light. Comes in this box. First off, I'm just gonna point out that inside the box is a manual, some accessories, but this is a thrower. This thing is a very high candela spot, right? This is to see way down the road. So that's why they included, I think, this dome here. It's a really inexpensive way to get this on the light here and diffuse the light to make it more like a walking wand. It just goes on kind of like rubber Tupperware or something. Now, this is a low-cost way to do it. You know, I am so beyond this, meaning that the way I operate, I'll just carry two lights. I already told you that. So the dome is a thoughtful addition, but nothing I need for my light. Let's get right into it and talk about why this has got to be the best light for the size. Again, I love me the T1 Pro from Weltool. It's substantially smaller. Let's take a look at both of these side by side. If you're willing to give up the extra space for the Manker MC13, it destroys the output of this one. But this one is very lightweight, so I am always torn by which one I want to carry. If I'm unlikely to need a thrower, unlikely to need it, I'm going to pick this one because then it's not a lot of added weight to my pocket. But if I know that I'm going to be like in the hills or something and likely to grab that thrower, this one is just so much better. Let's take a look at what makes it so much better. Okay, first off, the emitter itself. So if you look at typical emitters, they're these little guys like that, little tiny affair. Look at the size of that SBT90.2. It is, if you don't know, I think most of you who watch my channel know that this is the legendary luminous SBT90.2. And, you know, if you want to say, what is the best all-around thrower you can get with an SBT90.2? It's probably this AceBeam K75. Yes, there are bigger lights, like the Matemico MT90 Plus, but I actually sold mine because that thing was only 10% better than this, and this thing was like 1/4 the size and less than half the weight. So, amazing light, same emitter, okay? So now, what do you get when you put it in this little tiny light? Well, you get a lot, actually. You know, people have been trying to do this for a while. If you take a look at this, this is a Hank Wang KR1. This was modified by Vin over at Sky Lumens to put an SBT90 in it. You can see it is there. It's something that Hank Wang will now do on his own because this emitter was so sought after. It's just so much light, guys. With the right setup, you can get 5,000 or beyond lumens. Did you hear me? 5,000 or beyond with the right setup, meaning the right amount of batteries, right amount of amperage. Now, when you take this SBT90 and you put it on a light with a tiny battery, it doesn't shine like it might if it had a large battery pack. But you can still get like 3,500 to 4,000 lumens out of it, which is insane because a light like this is, you know, well under 1,000 lumens. But let's take a look at why, and back to these two, why this was such a great light for me, but this one is so much better. All right, first off, you can see it's physically shorter. Let's put it this way so it's more obvious. Physically shorter, mostly due to the fact that it's got a switch on the side, and this one has a tail switch. Secondly, it has a bigger optic. Now that might seem detrimental. I might see it like a disadvantage that's bigger, but you know what bigger optics mean? Bigger optics mean more throw. So you're gonna get a finer hotspot and more candela, so I call that a win. Lastly, right off the bat, you can see that this one has no charging port, and this one does have a flap right here. Flappy doodle. And under the floppy doodle is USB-C. So thank you for that, for including USB-C. I just did a review of the Mech Army X6, and that was my only gripe, was it was a USB micro. Come on, USB-C in today, please. All right, now, by having this side switch, you get a couple other cool things with this light, like, for example, when I turn it on, you can see there's, oh, let me get focused. There's a little blue light right there. So it tells you the battery output. It goes from blue to purple to red. Now, without quoting voltages, I will tell you that it stays blue for most of the battery life. And by the time it goes to purple, you've got like less than a quarter of the battery left. And by the time it goes to red, you need to charge it. So notice that blue is not full. Blue is still got battery. Purple is charge soon, and red is charge now. You can see that it's black and copper, which I think looks excellent. But notice that the copper looks so shiny compared to the copper of the KR1 here. This thing has been in my hands and out on my desk for months. This was sent to me so long ago by Bruce over at Flashlight Go, and I just forgot to review it, and it was sitting out on my desk. So it's been oxidizing for a long time, and you can see how beautiful it looks. They must have clear coated it. That's the only answer I can think of. It's got to have a clear coat. It's not picked up any of my fingerprints or oils and oxidized. So if you're into that, it's awesome. If you're not into that, I'm sure you could just buff it and pull the clear coat off, but I think it's awesome. I like that. Now, let's take a look at the UI. Here we go. First off, it's a very simple on. You just click it for on. And when it's on, press and hold to go from low, medium, high, and then it cycles again. Low, medium, high. Simple. There is moonlight. So if you grab it and hold while you turn it on, there we go. We are now in moonlight. Now what's really awesome is the moonlight has 3 modes. So while I'm in moonlight, let's shine it at the camera here, press and hold, second moonlight, third moonlight. There you go, 3 modes, just like there's, and I'll turn it on, low, medium, and high, right? So you got 3 moonlights and 3 regular modes. It has mode memory, but this is the best. The mode memory works exactly the way I'd want it to, which is when I turn it on and put it on, let's say high here, if I turn it off and turn it back on, I'm still at high. If I go to moonlight, yeah, I'm on moonlight right now. If I go to the third moonlight, so now I'm on the third moonlight. If I turn it off and do a long press again to go back to moonlight, it always goes to the lowest moonlight. That is perfect. So in other words, mode memory on the main group, no mode memory on the moonlight. That is what I want. Now, these modes are spaced well. I'm going to say perfectly. You know why perfectly? Because you can change them. Yes, it's programmable. Okay, it was not covered in the little pamphlet. This little pamphlet didn't say anything about it, but I knew that Manker had programmable moonlights in the past, so I went to their website, and it was on their website. So this is how you do it. It's kind of tricky. I'll show you it on camera. So what you're going to do is first, you're going to turn it on to the mode you want to reprogram. So I'm going to press and hold to get it to come on. So I'm on the lowest right now. Now, while it's on, I'm going to press it 5 times and then hold the 6th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. And if I do that right, I did not do it right because it is still blue. And it's hard to do on camera, but we'll do it again. It's going to turn red and flash red to show you you're in programming mode. Let's do it again. I'm holding my fingers to the side so you can see the LED. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. So I had to hold it a little bit there at the end, but now that it's flashing red, I'm in the programming mode. So now it is 2 clicks, click, click, to go up a mode. Click, 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 click. And every time I click, click, it gets brighter. Every time you click once, it's gonna go down. Click, 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 click. And you can get it really low. Look at that. And if you want to keep that, well, that's too low. Let's go click, click. All right. If you want to keep that, press and hold. It'll exit and start rotating. But now, look how low that moonlight is. Oh my gosh. All right. Now, what's the greatest news about this? You can do it to the main groups too. So all 3 of the main groups, whatever the spacing is, if you don't like them, don't worry about it. Just change it. Awesome. One last thing about the UI here, there is an electronic lockout, meaning that if it's off here, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll flash a couple times up here to notify me the main LED flashed. And now when I hit the button, nothing happens on the main LED, but this side one flashes to let you know it is indeed locked out. It's always great to get notification that the light's not just dead, that it's locked out. Then to unlock out, 1, 2, 3, 4, back on, locked out. There's also a mechanical lockout. So if you see, I press the button and it goes on. If I just turn the tube a little bit, nothing. So I love that you got both options, mechanical lockout as well as electronic. Speaking of the battery tube, we got 2 other additional features. One is it has a magnet in the back. Awesome. So you can to your hood of your car for working on something. But secondly, and this is the best feature, I've never seen this with another light, this is a combo 18350 and, see there's the 18350, and 18650 tube. So you take the tube off and between these 2 knurled sections, you just, and bunk! Look at that, it's long. Now, one thing I want to point out is when you make it long like this, keep going until it stops because it's actually screwing into a stop on the other side of the tube. I hadn't known that at first and I was having some light issues because the tube does need to make an electrical path. And the way it does that is by fully screwing out until it stops into here. But now that it's a long boy like this, you're gonna get insanely more lumens. Let's take a look at what it does with the included battery and a high drain 18650. Let's go. All right, I got the 18650 installed and let's do an ANSI runtime. Pow, 4200 at the start. And we'll let this run for about 30 seconds and see what it does at ANSI. Now, remember, this is a really tiny light, so I imagine there's gonna be a step down pretty soon. We're still at around 4,000 lumens, which was insane for light this small. I have seen the SBT90.2 do up to 5,000 to 6,000 lumens in multi-celled battery lights, but for a single cell, this is very crazy. And now we just hit ANSI, and we're still 3,600 out of the 4,000. Let's see how this feels. Oh yeah, it is hot. It is toasty. So I'm gonna kill it. It is quite toasty around the copper. The aluminum feels fine. The aluminum doesn't feel bad at all. It's toasty enough that I don't want to keep my fingers there. So that's what a monster this SBT90.2 is, and this is the only small light I've ever seen that can tame it. Remember, if you get a battery for it, make sure it's a high drain battery so you can get the most out of your SBT90.2. So if you use a cell like the Sony VTC5A or 6 or the Molicel, these are all great high drain batteries. I wanted to show you the driver side because it's got a great brass retaining ring, big, thick beryllium copper spring there. So, I mean, this is great design for maximum lumens and low resistance. I also want to point out, while I reassemble this, that the actual SBT90.2 emitter they used is better than what I even have in my KR1 here. Let's show you on the wall really quickly that, there we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, there we go. Let me turn it up a little bit. You can see that the Manker on the left right here is much cleaner than the one on the right. The one on the right's kind of greenish, maybe yellowy. Let me see if I can get this a little low. There we go. Let's get a little lower so it's a little more obvious. Yeah, you can see very much that this has got a greener tint. This is cleaner. So I, outside, was really happy with the beam shape. You saw how defined it was, and this is fuzzier. So this eclipses this light for me. This light was $190, and from Hank Wang, it's still like $150. So, I mean, you know, copper for the heat sinking, copper here. Honestly, the fact that it's copper here and aluminum's even better because it's lighter weight, but it still does what it needs to do by the emitter itself. So this is the new king for pocket throwers for me. Let's go outside and check out the beam shots. We're outside for some beam shots, and we got the Manker MC13. This is the limited edition SBT90.2. We're gonna pit it against the closest thing I have, which is a KR1 from Hank Wang. That's internationaloutdoor.com. And this is also an SBT 90.2. They're both SBT 90.2 lights. And then just for good measure, I'm gonna throw in the little tiny Well-Tool T1 pocket thrower. This is T1 Pro, just to get a baseline when we look at these monsters. Now, I'm going to start out with the 18350 battery that's included. Then we'll throw in a Sony Murata VTC5A. This is a high discharge battery, so it'll give us a lot more power than the included 18350. Let's start out with the little Well-Tool T1 Pro. Let's go straight to high on the 20 meter tree, then at the 55 meter tree, and then let's hit the back row, 150 meters. It's hard to see on camera in front of me, but maybe the drone will pick it up better. Now let's jump to the Manker MC13 SBT 90.2, and I'm going to go straight to turbo. Destroys that tree, 55 meter tree, and let's go to the back there. And this is on the included 18350, which is a fraction of the lumens that we're gonna get out of the 18650 Sony Murata cell, the high discharge. So let's put that in. Okay, off screen, I just extended the tube and I put the Sony Murata VTC5A in there. Let's see the difference. Double click to, oh wow, that is way brighter. Let's go to 55 meters and let's go to the 150 meters in the back there, which is really bright. I can see on the drone screen, it is incredibly bright. Now let's see how it varies from the old champ, the KR1 with the SBT 90.2. This was the old favorite I had for a pocket thrower. Now, before I get to it, you know, we did size comparison inside, but I just want to point out that this is lighter weight, yet it still has a copper where it needs it. So I have high hopes for this. A little different optics, okay? So let's see what happens. In fact, I'm going to show on the street in front of us here. I've got the Manker in the right hand, and I've got the KR1 in the left hand, and we can see the beams and the color is different. The Manker is a little more defined, a little less soft, but also kind of a bigger hotspot, a little more coverage than the KR1. Let's see it on this tree here. You can see that that's the Manker on my right hand. You can see it fills up a majority of the tree nice and evenly. Here's the KR1, and I don't know that I have these at exactly the right, there we go. So you can see, I was trying to adjust the output, but you can see, I don't know, you know, it's hard to say. The KR1 has kind of more of a hot spot, but it also has more spill. It's just a different beam. Okay, so I'm gonna keep the KR1 in my left hand and the Manker MC13 in my right hand. Let's go straight to turbo. All right, so straight to turbo with the KR1 on the trees in the back. Okay. Actually, the KR1 just, it seems floodier, which I was really surprised about. All right, now let's take a look at the Manker. You know, I'm gonna have to watch this on the tape. But you know, from the drone screen, I really think the Manker has more lumens, has a better defined beam. The Manker is the new champion of the pocket thrower. This is an amazing, insane light. I love this light. It is insane. Covers everything I need, right? Great UI, tons of throw, great tint, focused, tiny, chargeable in the light. It's perfect. It's perfect. I think it's the king of pocket throwers right now. The argument could be made for an SFT40 based on the idea that the SFT40 gives you a lot of lumens in throw for less battery usage, but this thing still, just in sheer power, gives out more lumens, more candela than even an SFT40 thrower. So, and then the fact that I can carry the 650 battery just in my pack, and when I need even more, just pop it in. Convertible, transformer light, love it. All right, I hope you enjoyed the review. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you got the moment, and I'll see you in the next review.